The temperatures have dropped, the leaves are starting to change colors, and that means it's time to talk conference championships in high school football.
You're watching the River Valley Report.
I'm Leland Barclay, and this is the River Valley Sports Report, where we love to focus on area high school athletes, coaches, and schools. Two of the biggest games in the state will be played in the River Valley on Friday, when conference championships are decided in the 3A1 when Charleston hosts Booneville, and in the 4A1 when Elkins travels to Ozark. We'll have both of those games completely covered. I will be in Charleston on Friday, while Walter Woody will be in Ozark. Charleston did their part to set up the big game with a 34-13 win over Hackett last Friday. Senior running back Reese Marichka ran for 189 yards and touchdowns of 4 and 48 yards, and also caught a 19-yard flip from Eli Huck. Hackett knotted the score early on Cole Ketchum's 6-yard touchdown pass to Wyatt Hester, the last of the football-playing family. Lonnie Hester was a head football coach at Hackett for a long time, and there's been multiple cousins and brothers come through the Hackett athletic program. Charleston led 20-13 at the half, and for the second week in a row, the defense pitched a second-half shutout for the victory. Charleston recorded 4 sacks in the game and 8 more tackles for loss to keep Hackett's high-powered offense in check. Senior quarterback Eli Huck capped Charleston's win with a 36-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. We talked to Huck, who was taking over the offense for his first varsity start due to injury to Carter Little.
Real nervous, but I knew that we had a great game plan coming in, so replacing Carter was not too scary, but we're definitely missing him. We came into the game expecting to win, and at the end of the day, we came out on top.
You know, of course, you've played both ways all year, offense, defense. Boy, the defense really played well tonight, didn't they?
Yes, sir. The defense is really what's keeping us alive right now while I'm trying to figure out what to do on offense.
We also talked to defensive stalwart Hunter Little, who also plays on the offensive line, about the win and the upcoming game against Booneville.
It feels good just trying to get these young sophomores into the right track. Get used to winning. We got off to a slow start, but once we hit conference, we just got to keep it rolling and keep our heads up.
What was kind of the key on defense tonight? It seemed like you put a lot of pressure on them.
The defense definitely led our team with our starting cue out. We got to step up, just stop the run first, and then let those scrawny guys play the pass behind us.
And then offensively, of course, you play both ways. So what was kind of the key on the offensive line tonight? You guys ran the ball well.
Put your nose down and keep working. It's pretty much all there was to it. Run, run, run.
Charleston head coach Ricky May was pleased with his team's defensive effort on Friday night, well, except for maybe a couple of plays here and there.
Yes, sir, all but a couple plays. We gave up a couple plays there in the first half that we really, were sick that we gave up. But the unit's coming together. We're playing a lot of kids, and they're just getting better.
How big was your ability to pass rush tonight?
Well, we there in the second half, we just pretty much just had the down 3 rush, but it was big. Our defensive end, Max Terry, did a good job rushing, and just had a great night.
How big, too, was the interception, down there on the goal line?
That was huge. I told them they didn't know how big that is. I gave them a hard time because our defensive linemen have more interceptions than our secondary does. But it was a huge play by our corner to knock that ball up, and our nose man, that's a big play by him to get it and go.
You had to make another adjustment. You had a lot of youngsters coming into the season. Now you lose your quarterback, and you had to kind of, make some more adjustments.
Yes, sir. Eli hadn't taken any snaps last week in about 4 or 5 weeks, and that was on us, and came into the game. We put him in a tough spot there, 14-7 at Mansfield. Finished up the game, and then he had a great practice this week. And, man, he's a winner, and just glad that we got Reese back. He's a winner. And so, hopefully we can sustain it and keep going until we get Carter back to help lead us.
Southside returned to their winning ways on Friday night, winning at Rogers Heritage 42-12. Southside's offense averaged 10.5 yards per play and running up 347 yards of offense. Senior running backs Amari Tucker and Isaac Gregory needed just 9 carries to rush for 150 yards on Friday night, including consecutive touchdown runs on jaunts of 59 and 49 yards in the first quarter. Southside returns home this week to host Springdale Harbor in a big game covered by Harold McIlvain. Lamar also returned to their winning ways on Friday night with a 32-20 win over Pottsville and stayed competitive and alive in the 4A4 race that will go down to the very end in a very competitive conference. Brandon Grice led Lamar's defensive effort on Friday night with 13 tackles and an interception. Junior quarterback Caleb Green ran for a score and threw a touchdown pass. That brings us to our weekly segment, Gimme 5. These are the top 5 performances of the past week in the River Valley. Number 1, Greenwood sophomore quarterback Kane Archer has returned to form. On Friday night, in a 42-0 win over Lake Hamilton, Archer completed 19 of 21 passes for 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Mercy Rule win over the Wolves kept the Greenwood Bulldogs undefeated, number 4 in the state overall, and number 1 in Class 6A. Grant Carnes caught 2 touchdown passes, and L.J. Robbins caught 1, and Braden Skaggs returned an interception 42 yards for a touchdown. L.J. Robbins has been a standout receiver for the Greenwood Bulldogs the last 3 years. Last week, I stopped by Greenwood and talked to him. Click on the link in the description below to read that feature story. Number 2, the Lavaca Golden Arrows stayed in contention in the 3A1 for a good playoff spot. Running back Michael Barwick ran 21 times for 219 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 46-6 win at Greenland. Friday night, Lavaca returns home and hosts Mansfield in another key 3A1 showdown. Number 3, the Ozark defense again held a high-powered offense in check in a 42-20 win over Gentry, led by defensive standout Eli Gilstrap, who had 12 solo tackles and 4 assists. Offensively, Kobe Wilbanks had another big night with 255 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns and threw for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. And oh, by the way, he also returned a kickoff for another 25 yards. As we talked about earlier, that win sets up the big showdown against Elkins on Friday night at Hillbilly Stadium. Number 4, the Subiaco Trojans are winding up their regular season, and on Friday night in a 60-12 win over Fountain Lake, running back Anthony Gehrig needed just 5 carries to rush for 134 yards behind touchdown runs of 41, 42, and 43 yards. Gehrig also completed a pass, caught a pass, and had a tackle for loss on defense. The Trojans travel to Genoa Central on Friday night in the final regular season game before the playoffs begin in 2 weeks. Number 5, Booneville fullback Rylan Ray went over the 100-yard mark for the first time this season with 113 yards and a touchdown in a 42-7 win over Mansfield on Friday night to set up the big game against Charleston on Friday. Senior wingback Dax Goff added 206 yards and 4 scores to lead Booneville to a 390-yard output on the ground. Just 3 weeks are left in the regular season in high school football, so get out and enjoy your local high school football teams. Also in volleyball, district tournaments are being played this week in the smaller classifications, and the regular season winds up in the larger ones, with state tournaments beginning next week. Also next week is cross-country state meets. Now the good news is Sunday's River Valley Democrat-Gazette is still available. Last week we had a big profile by Graham Thomas on Greenwood volleyball coach Jennifer Golden and her coaching tree at Siloam Springs, along with Kevin Taylor's small college notebook, 2 player profiles, my wrap-up from the Hackett game on Friday night, as well as Harold McIlvain's game from Alma. Also, it's still homecoming time in the River Valley. We had photos from Van Buren's homecoming festivities, as well as Southside's from last week. Also, coming up on this Friday is Greenwood's homecoming, and we recognize their court. The paper is available all across western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma at Come and Go, Harps, CVS Pharmacy, Casey's, and Walmart. You can subscribe online at rivervalleydemocrat-gazette.com/subscribe or by calling our customer service line at 479-684-5509. Be sure to follow the River Valley Democrat-Gazette Twitter account as well as mine, Walter Woody's, and Harold McIlvain's for updates from area football games every Friday night. You can view and purchase photos from our award-winning photographers that can be seen and purchased on our website, rivervalleydemocrat-gazette.com/photo. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're going to wrap up this week's River Valley Sports Report with photos by Caleb Grieger from Alma on Friday night. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.